Here now, Tennessee Senator Marsha Blackburn. Senator, always a pleasure. It's curious that such an important issue, no one across the aisle has is out there demanding hearings on this. There's paltry little curiosity about a virus that's killed what at last count nearly 5.7 million people around the globe.
Well, you're right about that. 5.7 million people, and you have hundreds of thousands of U.S. citizens. Loss of life, loss of livelihood. The cost to our economy goes into the trillions. And Dagan, for people to say, I'm not curious about this, we don't need to know the origins, it really doesn't matter right now. This is something to me that is astounding. Of course, I'm one of those early on. I felt like we needed to look at the lab leak theory because it was plausible. So you needed to get to the bottom of this. And now we should get to the bottom of this. But the thing is, you've got Dr. Fauci, who back in 2020, January 2020, knew that might be an issue and started trying to play a world-class game of CYA. The man might hold the Guinness Book of World Records for attempts for CYA. I've never seen anything like it. He has woven such a web of bad activity around himself, covering up why we don't need to look at the origins of this virus, or was NIAID, his agency, involved? Or did the NIH know? Or because the Chinese scientists wanted you to alter the genetic sequencing and that reporting, did a U.S. agency do it? And people now are saying, hey, wait a minute. You know, we want to know the answer to this. I talked to somebody this past weekend in Tennessee. They're fully vaxxed. They're boosted. They had COVID. They had Delta. They have Omicron. And it seems like they're one of those that have proven to be more susceptible to this virus. They want answers. They want to know about the mRNA. They want to know about the genetic sequencing.
Well, especially the origins of the virus, which, will there be hearings maybe after the midterms? Is that a possibility? And why do you think there is such a lack of curiosity on behalf of Democrats about getting to the bottom of the origins and getting to the bottom of any potential silencing of scientists who wanted to talk about a lab leak theory in the early parts of 2020?
Yes, a couple of things there. I look forward to the day that Rand Paul is chairman of the Senate Help Committee and begins to call those hearings and brings those scientists who were silenced in and lets them tell their story. I think that that is going to be a very significant time in finding out what has happened. Secondly, when you look at Dr. Fauci, of course, I thought he should have been fired back in 2020. And having him come forward and reveal what his financial ties are to different pharmaceutical companies, what his knowledge was, how he participated with gain-of-function research. This is something we ought not to be doing, altering viruses so that they are more deadly or that they are more contagious or individuals will be more susceptible to them. We ought not to do that. And I think that when we see a change come November, we're going to begin to finally get answers. How can you address the problem and find a solution for it if you do not know the origins of the problem?
Right, and how will we you know, further stand up to China? Now, I want to point out that President Biden said that he did bring up the origins of COVID with Xi. He said he did it in November, which did not line up with what his press team had originally said. And then when Jen Psaki was asked about this revelation from Biden, she later kind of got short with the reporter asking about it, said, we don't share every detail of every diplomatic conversation. You know that. But Democrats love transcripts of presidential calls with world leaders. They love to hug up on one of those, so why don't they release even a partial transcript of every single word that was said between Joe Biden and Xi Jinping, assuming he actually did bring up the origins of COVID and the need for transparency on that with the leader of China.
Exactly. Just release that portion of it. If he brought it up, release it. Talk about it. Because people want to know the answer to this. You know, why didn't he say our athletes are not coming, our companies are not going to sponsor, and the TV cameras are not going to be there for your Olympics if you don't come clean on what happened with this? We're tired of it. We're not going to put up with it. But no, Joe Biden didn't do that. And it is one of the reasons that his polling is so low. People are frustrated with him. If you are a small business owner that has had to shut your doors because of what happened to you during COVID, you for sure want to know what is going on and what your government is going to do about this so we don't go back through something like this again.
Right. And that
people look at Biden, he's weak, he's rudderless, and they feel like they're off to the races.
And Senator Blackburn, on that note, in the recent Monmouth poll, 70% of Americans said it's time to accept COVID's here to stay and get on with our lives. Of course, not even half of the Democrats polled thought that, but it was 89% of Republicans and 71% of independents who said accept it, get on with it for that very reason, because people, particularly smaller business owners, are suffering. Final word to you.
That's exactly right. People do want to get on with their lives. They want to find a way to live with this. I had a medical researcher not long ago say, you know, we're 3 years into this. We're into the third strain. It is following the Spanish flu lines. We need to learn to live with it. We need to be prepared. We need to defend it. And we absolutely need to know how this came to be so that it never happens to us again.
Senator Blackburn, thank you so much for being here. We'll see you again soon.
Thank you.